They didn't just see him fall, they watched him break, piece by piece, right in front of everyone, and not a single hand reached out. Not one soul stepped forward. They didn't offer help, they offered judgment. They didn't whisper prayers, they whispered rumors. They didn't see a man in pain, they saw entertainment. That's how the world works now. They don't care about how much you've carried, how long you've been fighting, or how tired your soul is. They only care when you win, and forget you the moment you collapse. He had no shield, no script, no speech to defend himself. Life came at him like a storm with no warning, no mercy, and no pause. It stripped him of everything, his pride, his peace, his people. And when the dust settled, all that was left was a man standing in ruins, trying to pretend he was okay. But he wasn't. He was dying on the inside, not because he lost, but because he lost in front of those who promised they'd never let him fall. It's a special kind of pain, the one you feel when you break publicly, when the world gets front row seats to your downfall, and they clap, not because they admire your courage, but because they enjoy your suffering. He felt it all, the betrayal, the humiliation, the loneliness, and the silence, the painful silence of everyone who once called themselves friends. But here's the part no one saw. What happened after the fall, after the judgment, after the noise. He didn't explain himself. He didn't defend his name. He didn't try to fix what they thought about him. He simply disappeared, not to escape, but to evolve. While they talked, he trained. While they laughed, he listened. While they moved on, he moved inward, into himself, into the darkness, into the fire. He didn't post quotes. He didn't beg for support. He didn't build with motivation. He built with pain, with hunger, with loneliness. Every day he picked up a piece of himself and placed it where it belonged. No audience, number, validation, just war. A silent war between who he was and who he was becoming. People forget real transformation doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the shadows, when no one's cheering, when no one sees the tears, when you're surrounded by silence and all you have is your broken spirit and your stubborn heart. That's where he rebuilt. That's where he was born again. You could feel the shift, not loud, not sudden, but powerful. He started walking differently, breathing differently, thinking differently. His silence wasn't emptiness, it was full of focus. Every time he was reminded of how they treated him, it fueled him. Every time he remembered who gave up on him, it pushed him. Every time he faced the mirror, he didn't see shame anymore. He saw fire. He didn't need to shout. His actions started screaming, not for revenge, but for resurrection. He was no longer fighting to prove them wrong. He was fighting to prove to himself that he was never weak in the first place, just misunderstood, mistreated, misjudged, and now reborn. They didn't notice at first. They didn't pay attention because they had moved on. That's what people do. They forget you the moment you stop serving their interest. But the moment you rise, quietly, consistently, dangerously, they start watching again, not because they care, but because your strength makes them uncomfortable. He walked back into the world like nothing happened. Same name, same face, but a completely different soul. No words, no speeches, No explanations, just presence. The kind of presence that speaks without sound, that shakes without shouting, that commands respect without asking for it. You could see it in his eyes. He wasn't angry. He wasn't bitter. He was ready for whatever life throws next. Because once you've survived the kind of pain that breaks your soul in public, nothing scares you anymore. You stop fearing judgment. You stop chasing approval. You stop needing applause. You become something else, something unshakable. People started talking again, not about his fall, but about his rise. The same people who ignored his silence were now curious about his glow. What happened to him? They whispered. How did he change? But he never answered. Because when you truly rebuild yourself, you realize you don't owe anyone your story. Your success is your closure. He became a storm, quiet on the surface, thunder underneath. He became the kind of man who doesn't show off his scars, but uses them as fuel. The kind who doesn't beg for peace, but becomes it. He knew now. Silence is power, and the most dangerous man in the room is the one who rebuilt without noise. But here's what matters most: this story isn't just his. It's yours too, because I know you've been there. Maybe not in the same way, but you felt it. That collapse, that loneliness, that pain that keeps you up at night when no one's around to hear you cry. You've had moments where you questioned your worth, moments where you looked in the mirror and couldn't recognize the person staring back, moments where the world turned its back and you were left trying to hold yourself together with shaking hands and tired eyes. You're not alone. You're not crazy. And you're not finished. I know it hurts. I know you're tired. But your story doesn't end here. If he can rise from ruins, so can you. You don't need an audience. You don't need approval. You just need the courage to keep going. Even if you take one small step a day, even if your voice shakes, even if no one notices, because one day they will. One day, the same people who laughed will fall silent. The same ones who ignored you will wonder how you did it. And the answer won't be found in words. It'll be in your presence, in your peace, in your power. You will not be defined by your fall. You will be remembered for your rise. But only if you choose to rise, not loudly, not perfectly, but honestly. Start where you are, with what you have. Even if all you have is pain, let that pain be the bricks. Let your discipline be the cement. Can build a life so strong that it silences everything that tried to destroy you. No one is coming to save you, but no one can stop you either. You are your own rescue, your own hero, your own answer. So rise, not to show them who you are, but to show you who you've always been. And when they ask, how did you come back? Don't say a word, just smile. Because the real ones don't speak. They show.